here in North America in the Southeast region, and I'll let him explain this amazing product. Thank you so much for joining us today, and take it away, Taylor. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Chris. I really appreciate it. So, as you said, I'm Taylor Henwood. I am the business development manager for Celestyal Cruises. I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia, but I represent Florida and the Southeast. Here to help talk about the product. Celestial is, I'm gonna go over all the different itineraries that we have in the ships, but just kind of a high level overview of who we are as a company. The company itself is about 10 years old. We started about 10 years ago. We're formerly known as Celestyal Cruises. Within the last couple of years, we dropped the cruises part, and now we are just Celestyal. Celestyal is a Greek company. It is based in Athens and in Cyprus. And so we like to think that we know the Eastern Med and the Greek Isles probably better than any other cruise line out there. And I think that goes into the kind of the service and the shore excursion options that we have. But what really our product is a few different things. Why Celestial and who we are. So we're a boutique of smaller premium ships. We have two ships right now. We have each ship is about 200 or 1,265 guest capacity, meaning that we only have about 650 cabins per vessel. Really good value. And also we spend more time at key ports in key destinations such as Dubrovnik, Mykonos, Santorini, and places like Dubai as well, that really immerse you into these regions. So between the premium mid-size vessels, the value pricing that we have with these vessels, and the time that we spend in port, I think those are kind of three key features that make Celestial Celestial. The fact that we're Greek also is really great because places that we're going to, a lot of our officer class is Greek. We have really good connections with the operations in each one of the places as well. So we tend to do things pretty well in that part of the world, but we've also expanded into other areas as well, including the Middle East. So I'll talk about that as well. So as I was mentioning before, we have two vessels in our entire fleet. They're mid-sized vessel, and the first one is the Discovery. The Discoveries are actually our newest vessel that we have. She started sailing back in March of this year, so only a few months has she been live on the water. And it's about, again, a 1,265 guest capacity ship. The Discovery tends to do our 3 and 4 day itineraries, and I'll show you more about that as well. But to give you some view of what the ship looks like, I'm going to show you a video of what the Discovery is. Okay, so that is our Celestial Discovery. What I wanted to show here is kind of an example of one of the cabins that we have here. So this is our balcony cabin. The balcony cabins tend to be about 230 square feet on the Discovery, give or take. Plenty of size, very comfortable, very cozy. Um, and that is the Discovery. And as I mentioned before, the Discovery does our 3 and 4 day cruises right now in the out of Athens, but we also are going to be expanding into places like Abu Dhabi that are going to be doing 3 or 4 day cruises, and that will be the Discovery as well. The next ship I'm going to show you is our second one. It is the Celestial Journey. Celestial Journey also started sailing with us back in October of this year. The journey is, if you've ever sailed with Celestial before, these are 2 new vessels completely. So if you haven't traveled with us since October, then you're going to have a completely new fleet. So the Journey and the Discovery are very new, and both are less than a year old on the water. The Journey is a little bit larger in its berth, but it has about the same cabin capacity and same guest capacity. So we have 8 bars and restaurants on here, 2 different swimming pools, 7 restaurants. And the Journey is also our 7 day vessel typically. So anytime you're going on a 7 day cruise with us, you're probably going to be on the Journey. And again, 3 and 4 day cruises, you're going to be on the Discovery, although sometimes it does change. Also, here is a video of the Journey to give you a sense of the inside of what she looks like. Okay, so that's an overview of our fleet. It's the Journey and the Discovery. Here's to take a look at the inside cabins here. So what I really like about the Journey is actually how spacious the cabins that we have are. So for example, we are an interior cabin. You can see on the back wall there, it looks like a window. It's just a falsetto window to give the appearance of light. But this cabin's about 182 square feet, so it's pretty large for an inside cabin. Going to the exterior cabin, so this is an actual exterior ocean view cabin. This is about 200 square feet when you're looking at the ocean view cabins with us here. Now going up to, so important to note, we go from inside to outside, and then we jump up to our Junior Dream Suite categories, essentially our entry level to the balcony cabins on the Journey, but really it's also a part of our suite category staterooms. The Junior Dream Suite is about 235 square feet, very spacious. I would compare it more to a mini suite than an actual standard balcony on like traditional vessels out there. What you can see kind of from the corner picture of that balcony, and it's hard to tell, although there's 2 chairs out there, you can very comfortably fit about 3 to 4 adults on that balcony. When I sailed, I was actually very surprised by how large the balconies were and how much privacy you have between each balcony as well. What you get. So with our suite category cabins, we offer a litany of different concierge services. So we have priority embarkation, luggage handling, You also get some complimentary beverages included into the stateroom as well. And then you also get priority disembarkation as well. So any of the kind of Dream Suite cabins and above, you'll get the concierge service that's dedicated to these cabins. So we do have suite services on board. This is our Grand Suite category. This is a beautiful category. This is probably my favorite category on board. It's about 375 square feet. What's not really fully pictured is the balcony outside. The balcony it has a full round table with about 2 to 3 chairs at the table, plus 2 lounge chairs as well. So that particular balcony, you could fit almost 6 people outside if you really wanted to. The Stargazer Suite. So on the Journey, we have one Stargazer Suite. What's really great about the Stargazer Suite is that it's 900 plus square feet on board. So this is what the Stargazer Suite looks like here, plus the living room too. So if you want a very large suite capacity stateroom, look at the Stargazer Suite for the Journey. Journey also has 2 swimming pools. This is what I really like about the vessel too. So the center picture with the dolphins there, that's kind of like the main deck pool that we have. But if you look on the very top of it, we actually have um, a roof that comes over the pool. So it's a retractable roof. Usually we keep it open just a little bit if the weather's good, so we get that full circulation in there. Even if you get bad weather, you still have pool weather. So we can close that completely. That way you still have access to the pool. On a really nice day, we keep it open. We also have the back pool that's really good for sun lounging as well. So we have 2 pools on board. Our specialty restaurant. So with the Journey, we have our traditional buffet area for breakfast, lunch. Then we also have complimentary included dining, but then we also have specialty restaurants too. So we have a few specialty restaurants that are notable on board. Grill Seekers shown here is our steak restaurant on board. We also have Pink Moon, which is our Asian fusion restaurant, and Smoked Olive. Smoked Olive kind of is an in-between category. What's really great about Smoked Olive, and my favorite thing about Smoked Olive, is that if you have the Junior Dream Suite and above, you can get complimentary buffet breakfast served in Smoked Olive. What's really nice about that is that it's a very quaint and quiet place to have breakfast. And then you have the buffet area. So it kind of gets you out of the masses a little bit so you can have an enjoyable breakfast before you go out on your shore excursions for the day. And you get to have it kind of in a private setting as well. In terms of booking, how do you book with us? So we have a really low deposit per cabin. So for the non-suite categories, we have based on a 7-day cruise, 300 per cabin or 600 per suite. You have a lot of flexibility in canceling, so you can cancel your cruise with no fees up to 90 days before departure. Or you don't really have to pay until about like fully deposit until 60 before departure as well. You can also you can pre-book shore excursions with us, and then you can also receive deals on certain packages. So, depending on the bundles that we have, if you pre-book shore excursions with us, you can actually save up to 10 to 20% on the different packages when bundling with us. So it's different per itinerary, but just know that if you pre-book with us and you bundle certain shore excursions, you can get up to 10 to 20% off on the shore excursions before you sail with us. Solo traveling, we actually have a really good solo program on board too. So our solo traveling, what that is for our inside and ocean view exterior cabins, and it's 150% capacity for paying. So what that means is that essentially you pay for yourself 100% and you get 50% off the second guest capacity. So rather than paying if you typically sail on a cruise, you have to pay double occupancy. We have reduced fares. So you pay for yourself 100% and then 50% off the second guest. So it gets you a little bit of a better rate for wanting to travel solo with us if you wanted to. So to go over our programs, the way I like to look at our fare packages is that you can make it as value proposition as possible, or you can make it as all-inclusive as possible. So when you book with us, you have the option to upgrade or keep it at the base level. So when you book with us and you look at our pricing, either with cruise.com, you're looking at it on our website, it's always going to include the Celestial experience. That's the base level to it. So what that includes is going to be onboard dining in the main restaurants. You get house wine, draft beer, coffee with the meals, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Entertainment's going to be automatically included. The nice thing about it is that you also automatically get $80 per person for passenger 1 and 2 shore excursion discount. Now that's what you would use to pre-book shore excursions with. So you have $80, and that's for the entire 7 days. It's not per day, but it's $80 per person. So 160 per cap that you're going to receive towards the discount of shore excursions. You want to pre-book that because that's how the best way to use it is by pre-booking them. Port fees and gratuities are going to be included no matter what, so that's already going to be in there. If you want to, then make it a little bit more inclusive, and I do recommend it because I think the benefit is there. Is you pay about $275 more per person, and you can get the upgraded package. And what that gives you is 25% off the specialty dining restaurants on board. You also get an enhanced drink package too. So rather than just having beer, wine with dinner and coffee, coffee is a big thing too. So you can get an upgraded package with us and you get cappuccinos, you can get espressos, and you can get that anywhere across the ship, not just with the meals. So that's really important. So you can get with the enhanced Celestial Plus experience package, you can get cocktails, beer, and wine across the ship. Now the cocktails are going to be based up to €7 on board. But I can explain on the next slide a little bit more about that. Then you also get $160 shore excursion per person credit more. So you double your shore excursion credit when you get the upgraded package. And then you get 1 hour of Wi-Fi access every single night when you're on board with that too. So that's why I recommend it, especially if you're a coffee drinker like I am. I'm not necessarily, big into the cocktails or the beer, but I like to drink espressos and I like to drink cappuccinos. And you can get that across the ship with the upgraded package. Now, if you want to make it even more inclusive and you want to start including cocktails up to €10 on board, there's different ways you can do it. So you can get Sky's the Limit, which is an extra $50 per person per day if you're just upgrading from the base package, or if you already have the Celestial Plus experience and you want to add more drinks to it, you can pay €17 per day per person to upgrade it to get it even more inclusive. This is something you can do beforehand or you can do while you're on board, but just know that you have flexibility in how inclusive and non-inclusive that you want to make your cruise. So to kind of go over where we go, so Mediterranean and Greece. So we're most famous for our Greek Isle cruises. What I'll show here next is just kind of the highlights of our idyllic Aegean. But know that we go other places. So we focus on the Greek Isles. We go out of Athens, but we go to places like Croatia. We go to the east coast of Italy. I'm going to show you all that as well. Okay, so that's a look at our idyllic Aegean. So to kind of go over where we're going. So the we are sailing this summer. I'm showing our 2025 dates because they were actually the pretty much the same as what we have for 2024. We sail seasonally through the Eastern Mediterranean. So we're going to be going usually through um, typically May through November, the beginning of November. That's going to be our Eastern Mediterranean season. And then we're going to be going out of the Middle East during the wintertime. So our idyllic Aegean is our most popular itinerary. And you can see why it's a very great itinerary because it's focusing mostly on the Greek Isles. But we go to a couple key stops here. So we start out of Athens and we go round trip out of Athens, out of the port of Piraeus. And Piraeus is about 25-minute drive approximately from the Acropolis to give you a sense of where it is in Athens. So it's not that far from the main center of Athens. Um, we go to a couple really great stops on here, but what you'll notice, and I was saying we spend more time in port than any other cruise line out there, is if you take a look at Santorini and Mykonos specifically, in the 2025 season, we're going to be leaving Santorini at 12:30 at night. In Mykonos, we stay till 2 a.m. So why is that important? Well, if you have ever been to Santorini or you've seen pictures of Santorini, there's only a few ways that you can get to the top of Santorini because you're basically it's on a very big cliff or a very small mountain, depending on how you want to look at it. You can either get up there by donkey. There's a few ways to get to the back of the island if you want to take buses up to the top, or you have to take a cable car. The nice thing about this is because it is a popular destination and most people are ferrying into Santorini, when everybody else has to leave earlier than you, between let's say 6:30 at night, 9:30 at night, you can enjoy Santorini a little bit longer than everybody else, and you don't have to worry about rushing back to the cable cars or taking the donkey down or finding your way back to make sure that you're not missing the ship. And one really big key factor, and it's no small feat, is that you can watch the sunset from the top of Santorini rather from the ship. Now they're both beautiful views, but if you had to pick between the two, you got to see the sunset from the top of Santorini and not really have to worry about getting back to the ship on time. That's a really big deal. Now, Mykonos is great too because we get in around 8 a.m. and we leave around 2 a.m. So why is that really cool? So Mykonos has great beaches. So you have the ability to go out to the beach during the day if you want to. You can go back to the ship and take a siesta, kind of enjoy yourself, and then you can go back out at night. Mykonos has a really great nightlife. It's one of the best in Europe. So to be able to go experience Mykonos at night and stay till about 2 a.m., that's a really great feature. We also go to places like Thessaloniki. Thessaloniki is the second largest city in Greece. It's also it's considered kind of like the capital of northern Greece or Macedonia, culturally Macedonia. A lot of the shore excursions you're going to be doing there are based on Alexander the Great because Alexander the Great is from that region. Kusadasi and Ephesus. Ephesus is one of the great ancient cities that has been rebuilt. It's a Roman city, so it's like Pompeii. Some would argue it's just as good or maybe even better than Pompeii. Then we go to Herculon as well, where you can see the ancient Minoan societies. And Milos is really famous for its kind of volcanic and rocky beaches that looks like you're kind of walking on craters of the moon. So we have a lot of the big highlights in the idyllic Aegean with this itinerary. Plus, you get to stay really late in Santorini, Mykonos. That's the big highlight there. The idyllic season changes a little bit going into 2026, 2027. The one big change is that we're not going to be going to Thessaloniki in 2026. We're going to be going to Rhodes instead. So I personally really love Rhodes, and I think that's a great change. So uh, it's good to have Rhodes in there. And it's going to focus a little bit more on the Greek islands in 2026 and 27 by taking Thessaloniki out. But that's one of the big changes for the 7-day itinerary, although it's just one key port that we have in there that's changing. We also have the ability to do 3 and 4-day cruises I was mentioning before. So that's something that's a little different than with our cruise line than other cruise lines. Typically, other cruise lines are just doing 7-day cruises around the Greek Isles. We also have 3 and 4-day options. So we have a 3-day option that goes out of the port of Liabrion, which is also in Athens as well. You can see how much you can see in just a couple of days. So the same day that you disembark from Athens, we actually go to Mykonos. The next day, we have two ports that you go to on Saturday. So you have Ephesus and Patmos. And then Sunday, you have all day in Santorini and then back to Athens. So in a little time, you get to see some really cool ports. It's a lot more, it's more of a quick hit than the 7 day. The 7 day, you're going to have more time in port. But the 3 and 4 day options are really great. If you only have a week off from work, let's say, and you want to see Athens, you've never been to Athens before, and you want to spend 2 to 3 days in Athens, you can hop on a 3 night with us and you can see a bit of the Greek Isles. So you can do 3 days in Athens, you can do 3 days with us or 4 days with us if you want to, and then you can fly back home. That's if you have 7 days. If you have more, that's even great. Um, the summer season is a little bit different. So when we go into our peak season dates between April and October, the one big difference is that we're adding Crete in there. So we have Mykonos, Cruise, Patmos, and Crete. So anytime between April and October, we typically add Crete to the itineraries that we have. And then we also have our 4 night. So a little bit different, but we go Monday to Friday for the 4 night. And then our 3 night is Friday to Monday. So that's kind of what our schedule is during that season. Again, going to Mykonos, Kusadasi, Patmos on here is one of the changes too. And again, peak season between March and November, we had Crete. So this is our 4 days. So we have Mykonos, Ephesus, Patmos, Rhodes, Crete, Santorini. So you get to see all that in 4 days. That's why I really like the 4 day itinerary. Heavily Adriatic. So this is something that we have in our itinerary, and it's not really well known, but I think it's a great itinerary. And the reason being is the amount of time we spend in Croatia and Dubrovnik particularly. So again, we arrive in the afternoon and we leave at 2:30 in the morning. Dubrovnik is really popular. If you look at the picture on the left, if anybody's really familiar with Game of Thrones, Dubrovnik was the setting for King's Landing. That's why it's become very famous. It's like going to New Zealand after a game, Lord of the Rings about 20 years ago. Dubrovnik has that same level of popularity. And so why I bring that up is because a lot more cruise lines are going to Dubrovnik, but because you have more time in port, when the cruise lines leave, you can enjoy the evening in Dubrovnik. So if you wanted to have dinner in Dubrovnik, if you wanted to watch the sunset from the walls there, you can see on the left that there's ancient walls that go around the city. You can actually walk on top of those, so you can enjoy the city view, and then you can also watch the sunset at night. So that is why I really like this itinerary. Again, these are the dates that we have in 2025 and into 2026. We have a couple different versions of this. So the one is the Heavenly Adriatic going to Crete, Croatia. We go to Montenegro, Italy. We have a slightly different variation that goes to Venice as well. Why this is really cool is a lot of cruise lines do go to Venice. But because of the size of our vessels, our mid-sized vessels, we can dock in Marghera. Okay, so why is that really cool? So Venice doesn't really allow most cruise lines anymore to dock inside of Venice. You used to be able to a few years ago. Now the cruise lines have to go outside of Venice. Now, Marghera is only a 20-minute bus ride into the city of Venice from where we dock. So when we dock in Venice, we're only 20 minutes away. Other cruise lines have to go to a place called, there's a few different places they can go to, but usually it's a place called Ravenna. And Ravenna is about a 3-hour drive each way. So if you're considering going to Venice next summer and you are looking at a cruise option to go there, just consider where we dock versus other cruise lines that dock in places like Ravenna. We're only 20 minutes away from Venice, and everybody else is about 2.5, 3 hours each way to get there. So that's the big benefit of going on the Heavenly Adriatic to Venice. Arabian Gulf. So the Arabian Gulf is our brand new. We haven't sailed these yet. So we're sailing starting in November of this year. And we're going to go into the 2025, 2026, and 2027 season. But we're also going this year as well. So this is the Arabian Gulf. I'll show you a few of the places that we're going to with the Arabian Gulf. Okay. So introducing the Desert Days Arabian Gulf itineraries. We will start going this November out of Doha. So it's round trip 7 days out of Doha, Qatar, going to Bahrain, Dubai, Oman, Sirbasi Yasi Island, and Abu Dhabi as well. Doha has one of I actually just had the privilege of going over to Qatar recently, and it has one of the coolest embarkation ports I've ever seen, probably the coolest one I've ever seen. There is a full aquarium inside the embarkation. So when you're cruising with us, you not only get to go on a cruise, but you also get to see a two-story aquarium inside the embarkation area. It's very cool. Again, kind of a recurring theme with us is we try to stay late into um, key ports. So if you look at Dubai here, we spent about 24 hours in Dubai. So we essentially have the ability to use our ship as a floating hotel while you visit Dubai. Dubai is a very large international city, so it gives you plenty of time to check out the sites there. Um, Oman has some beautiful fjords, so it's actually really great time to be outside. There's a lot of different fjords you can explore. Uh, Sirbasi Yasi Island, that's a really interesting place because that is actually owned by an Emirati who got really into wildlife. And by really getting into wildlife, he imported wildlife from all over the world and created a wildlife sanctuary. So basically, the full day there is like going on a safari. So that particular day is a safari day, essentially. And then we have Abu Dhabi as well. So this is our 7 day itinerary that we have coming up. But we're also going to be doing this year the Grand Prix itineraries too. So we have the ability to, uh, on this particular date, we'll be out of Qatar, so it'll be in Doha, that we're going to see the Grand Prix there. We do sell tickets uh, through us. You don't have to buy tickets to the Grand Prix if you want to do this itinerary, but we do have tickets available to the Grand Prix. The tickets for the Grand Prix, and this is for 3 days, is about anywhere from about $380 to about $800 per person. And that's for 3 days. What's really cool about that is that if you are a fan of Grand Prix racing, you know that if you go to a place like Las Vegas, that one ticket is about $1,200 per person. That's usually just for one day. So for the price of anywhere from about 400 to about 800, you can get 3 days of seeing the Grand Prix in Doha, Qatar. We also have that same option if you want to see the Grand Prix race that comes up right after that in Abu Dhabi instead. It's the same thing. We use the hotel on both of these dates, or we use the ship as a floating hotel. So we dock in Doha, and you can see where the race flags are. And those are the nights that we dock in Doha. So you have the ability to stay on the ship, go to the race, come back from the race, and go back onto the ship. And you do that for 3 nights. And again, if you just want to use the ship as a floating hotel and not go to the race, but you want to stay in Doha for 3 nights, it's a good way to do it too. Same concept with Abu Dhabi is that we're selling tickets to the Grand Prix there as well. The ticket prices are a little bit different with Abu Dhabi. It's about like 450 per person, anywhere up to about like 950 per person. It depends on the seats on where you want to go, but we have tickets that you can buy through us as well. Or of course, if you just want to see Abu Dhabi, not go to the race, you can use the ship as a floating hotel. And that's a good option too. This will be both on December 2nd this year and then November 25th if you want to go to the one in Doha. So we have some new itineraries coming up as well. This is going to be our 2026 and 2027 season. So it changes just a little bit from the other one. Also, different variations of it as well. And what the big difference is that we've introduced our 3 and 4 day cruises on the Discovery. So this just came out about a week or two ago. So we've released our 2025, 2026, and 2027 dates with the Discovery. So we're not just a seasonal cruise anymore. We go year round. And in the wintertime, we will have 2 ships in the Arabian Gulf area. So this is a 3 day itinerary that you can do. Now, if you're coming from North America, chances are you're probably not going to be doing just 3 days, but I'll show you a way that you can make these itineraries a 7 day cruise too. So We have a 3-day option that goes round trip out of Abu Dhabi. There's a 4-night cruise as well that goes round trip out of Abu Dhabi. But if you want to make it a 7-night and you really like the itinerary, you can actually make it into a 7-night. You combine the 3-day cruise and the 4-day cruise, and you have this itinerary right here called the Golf Icons. So you have a different set of cruises. So we have the 7-day that goes on the journey that goes out of Doha, and then we also have a 3 and 4-day option that can be combined into a 7-day cruise out of Abu Dhabi. Right now, this is going to be our sale for the summer that we have going to the end of August. We have half off on select sailings going for 2025, 2026, and 27 cruises. So it'll be half off passenger 1 and 2, and then you can receive 30% off the 3rd and 4th guest capacity as well. And that is kind of our overview here. So I'll open it up to any questions that people have. Just let me know. Happy to answer anything for you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, like Taylor said, if you guys have any questions about the product, about any of the stops, any of the itineraries, please feel free to mention them in the chat, here in the Zoom or here on Facebook, and we'd love to answer them now. Or if you maybe have a question later and you want to know some more information, you can DM us on Facebook and we'll be able to get that information out to you, or just reply back to the email that I sent the invitation to here on Zoom. Thank you so much, Taylor, for that overview of Celestyal. Really, really great itineraries. A lot of amazing package deals that you're doing in the Middle East and just all around the world. Very, very interesting. And if you're trying to, do a lot of things at once, and really make the most out of your vacation, this seems absolutely fabulous. And just in such a very comfortable setting as well. But
Yeah,
yeah,
thanks for having me on. Yeah, keep us in consideration if you're trying to go over to Greece, Croatia, Middle East. Well, take a look at us.
of course, of course. But thank you so much for the presentation today. And our next
Thank you.
presentation is going
Appreciate
to
it.
be next week, Thursday. So register for that. And thank you so much to everyone who came out tonight. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you on our next cruise.com webinar. Thank you so much and have a great night, everybody.